All right, guys, welcome back to the Real Review featuring the Real Movie Guys. My name is Kevin,
And I'm John.
and this week we got something special for you. Blumhouse Studios. They're actually pretty famous right now for for doing horror movies in general, but this in particular is a reimagining of The Invisible Man called The Invisible Man. Very original title. Very original title. So, like I said, Blumhouse, awesome studio. They did Control, a ton of horror movies. If I start listing all their movies, we're going to be here all day. I don't want to get into that. But, John, did you know anything about this movie going into it? Did you hear about it, or?
No, actually, I never heard even about the Invisible Man until after I watched this. I kind of started seeing things pop up about like the original Invisible Man
Well,
and things like that.
so you've never seen an Invisible Man movie, would you say?
No,
Have you ever seen Hollow Man?
no,
No? For those
no.
out there, that's something we may tackle on this channel. Hollow Man has Kevin Bacon being a super creep, invisible man, stalking people around. Awesome, terrible movie. Love it to death. That being said, I was pretty excited for this movie. I like the classic monster movies after the whole Dark Universe thing kind of fell out of fashion when Universal canceled it with the Dracula Untold movie. And, I think Johnny Depp was going to be in some movies and stuff like that. It didn't happen. I think, The Mummy with Tom Cruise. That was not
Oh,
good, apparently. I didn't see that, so I'm not going to
I,
comment on it. But I'm sure it wasn't good. Just saying, it probably wasn't good. That being said, when that got canceled, and then I heard Blumhouse took over these movies, they took over the monster universe. It sounds like, and that's pretty exciting. This movie in particular, I think, is even more special because it was done with such a low budget. I don't believe that it took much money to make this movie, but like I said, what they came out with, I think, was pretty awesome. So, getting into it, what is The Invisible Man about? The Invisible Man is when the main character, Cecilia, her abusive ex takes his own life. He kills himself and leaves her his fortune. After that happens, she suspects his death was a hoax. Weird things start happening, and she's not sure what's going on. She's being surprised. It's just you don't know. You don't know at that point. But as a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody can see.
dun dun
Dun
dun.
dun 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 dun. Okay. That being said, John, first impression. What did you think of this movie?
Well, just starting off like with the beginning, I kind of saw it like they almost were kind of rushed into like
Oh, before we
her
go any
her.
forward, sorry to cut you off. Before we go any forward, spoiler warning: there will be spoilers in this video. If you don't want to hear spoilers, make sure you jump out, watch the movie, come back and visit us. Otherwise, you don't really care. You just want to know what's going on. Hang around and give us a listen. All right, John. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, like in the beginning where already have her trying to run away and escape from him,
Right.
and where we eventually find out that she drugged him and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It seems like they kind of rushed right into it in a way where I
Right.
felt like they maybe could have started somewhere else and made it more like maybe gave a bigger backstory on why she was really running away and everything.
All right. So let's talk about it. So this movie, I think, is amazing. I really do. I think this movie is amazing for what it is. I think it took a classic Invisible Man story, which overall itself can be pretty corny. I think we can both agree about that. An Invisible Man, going doing spooky stuff in the background and whatever. They took that concept and they put it in. They put in so say it sensitively. They put a realistic situation. They melded the two together. We all know, abuse is a rampant thing, especially, around the whole Me Too movement stuff going on now. So what they did was they took a situation that is unfortunately really common and they melded it with the concept of the Invisible Man. I think that's genius, to be honest with me. I was really surprised what this movie was about. I mean, you could even take out the Invisible Man portion of this movie, and I think it's a brilliant telling of a woman who's coming out of a terrible relationship, dealing with those emotions on top of nobody believing her. I just think that's brilliant. What did you get from that? Did you get a lot of that from this movie, or?
Yeah, I got most of yeah, I got a lot of that from this movie. I also got like you can almost see how like all the things that she's going through and how her mind is working around different things that she's actually experiencing
Right.
when everybody else is kind of like oblivious to the whole thing. They just kind of it's like they don't believe what she says
Well,
because of where she's coming from.
right. And if you think about it from that aspect, isn't that doesn't that correlate well to what a classic like abuse victim would actually deal with? Like, you do get in a lot of situations where, victims they are abused or whatever the situation is. They go to confront with other people and they don't necessarily believe them. And that's definitely captured, I feel like, in this movie. They capture that. Not even so much that. I think they capture how the victim is so isolated and alone throughout the whole thing. And you feel like even though she escapes her abuser in the movie, he's never really gone in her
Yeah,
mind,
it's
especially in the beginning of the movie. Uh, it's just it's wow, it's just well done. I mean, a lot of the scenes, it's just well done. You
yeah, it's
know.
like he's always around her no matter she can't ever escape him until she's actually knows that he's actually gone for real.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a very, again, like I keep saying, it's a very real situation, but I never feel like that was being preached to throughout the movie, to where it was like, oh, all men are abusive people and this is terrible. And no, it's not telling that. It's telling what an abuse victim would feel like in a situation like this, with having that supernatural aspect added on. But that oddly enough, that supernatural aspect really enhances the experience of this movie, I feel like. I really feel like it's sending a message, but it's not preaching a message, if that makes any sense to you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you with that.
Yeah, and especially, I think one of the big pluses I have is Elizabeth Moss in this movie, who plays Cecilia, the main character. She's stunning in this movie. I mean, she really nails all the emotions, whether she's just her body language, because there's a lot of scenes where she's not even talking, and she can just, with a look, she can tell you how she feels uncomfortable, and she's worried and scared. And not even that, it's just the fact that it's really, it's stunning. It's hard to find words. I get jumbled with it, but it's actually pretty like intense. I would say it's a very intense performance from her, which you wouldn't expect in this kind of movie. That's not what I would have expected. Based
Yeah.
on the initial premise of knowing the Invisible Man, this is not what I would have expected. Um,
Well, yeah, and you also
right.
see like when act sometimes when actors or actresses are acting with like no one there or like where we don't see anybody or
Mm-hmm.
they don't have like a co-partner on the screen with them,
Right.
sometimes it always is a little bit awkward. Like
Right.
even when they're doing animation, like when they have a person and then they're
Mm-hmm.
interacting with like an animated character,
Yeah.
you could always see that sometimes they don't seem like they're
Mm-hmm.
actually dealing with that character. But in this, it feels like she's actually sees this person each time and they're actually working together,
Yeah. I
even when
mean,
he's not actually on screen.
right. Right. And I think a lot of this, there's a couple things I think add to this. Besides Elizabeth Moss, she's just stunning in this movie. I would say just the sound design alone is incredible for this movie. Like, if you want to know what good sound design sounds like, go check out this movie. Because seriously, there's a scene in the beginning of the movie where she's staying with the cop. She escapes from her ex-husband and she's staying with a cop friend. Uh, she's probably been there, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, I think it is at that point.
I think it's like 2 weeks or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. So she's there. He tells her, go outside, just go outside and get the mail, do something, because she's been in the house. She's been, afraid to even leave the house. So the first thing that actually happens, she steps outside. Everything's like mute. It's mute, staticky, unclear. The sound, like it sounds like music's trying to come through, but it's very inaudible. Like you can't really hear anything. It's just very muted. Like you have earmuffs on. That's what it feels like. And the only sound you hear her step outside the door. You hear like a thump, like when she puts her foot outside the door. And then she walks all the way down. Again, you don't hear anything. It's all muted. It's all, you can't hear anything. You hear her open the mailbox. You're like you hear like the noise, and then a jogger comes up behind her. You just hear thump 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 thump, thump like someone running, and then she just freaks out and runs in the house. Like that's
Yeah.
the level of like psychology they're going for in this movie, where in her head she's numb to everything right now. She doesn't want to hear the world. She's put everything on mute at this point, except for that fear that's still in her. It's still trying to overcome her, and it's overtaking her in her life right now. And I think by using that throughout the movie, it's just incredible. That's genius, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, you can tell in like especially in that part where you're like, wow, they did something so amazing, like just with the music in general and sound that you wouldn't have thought that that would have made it
No,
even seem more real than what it
and the
even
best part
was.
is there is a soundtrack to this movie. It's very I won't even honestly. It's hard to tell if it's just noises. It's really not even like a soundtrack. It's really just like uncomfortable synthesizer noises throughout the whole movie. But I will say we're getting ahead of ourselves. But at the end of the movie, they actually do play a song at the end of the movie after a certain scene happens, and that's the first song that you hear throughout the whole movie that comes in perfectly clear and audible. Throughout the whole movie, nothing else ever came through audible until you hear this song at the end of the movie. And I think that's incredible storytelling, because we'll get to that when we talk more about the plot. But like I said, by that happening, like I said, they're telling a story just in the music alone, not just the movie. That's not just what you're seeing on TV. The actual music of this movie is telling a story, which I think is incredible for a low budget movie that I barely even, most people barely even care about. I would think.
Yeah, definitely.
No, it's something totally different. Um, so that being said, so music plays I can't gush over it enough. Music plays a huge part in this movie. Also, I would say the cinematography is amazing in this movie. There's scenes where you just have her and you have Elizabeth Moss. You have her in the middle of the room sitting, and all you just see her in the middle of the shot, and then you see empty space all around her, and the
Well,
shot
yeah,
just sits, and
and
it's
see
so
that's
unsettling. Like it made me feel, and I don't usually care about stuff like this, but like someone's watching you. It really felt like someone was watching you, and it was really uncomfortable. Like to feel like she was being watched by somebody that wasn't there.
yeah, and see like for some of those shots too.
Right.
That to me though,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt like it was almost like kind of like how you keep saying it was like a low budget.
Yeah.
It almost felt like somebody shot it low budget in some
Yeah.
scenes
Mm-hmm.
where they kind of just like say put a camera on a tripod
Right.
and that was like the picture you were kind of getting. It
Yeah.
wasn't like anything more or anything less. Like
Yeah.
I think there was one scene where she was in the kitchen or something
Right.
and it was literally just like seemed like they just left someone was doing this from their home, like doing a home video or
Oh,
something.
well, there's a scene where there's a scene that early on in the movie she's making breakfast. She's talking with the young girl that lives with her friend. That's his daughter. She's talking with her, and she leaves with her to. I guess she's showing her something. She leaves with her, and she's cooking breakfast, so she has it on the stove. So masterfully, the shot just sits there. It just hangs there for like what, a couple 10 seconds or so. We'll say, just give or
Yeah,
take.
something like that.
And you see the light just go flick, and you're like, what the hell? Like it just like flicks on, and then it starts burning, and then the fire alarm goes off. She goes running in, takes care of it. But that lingering shot, it you think at first you want to say to yourself, okay, someone obviously did that, haha. But then again, maybe not. Maybe the stove just caught right. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell. They placed a lot of doubt by using those shots in those movies. Like in the beginning, you do kind of think she's a little crazy. If you didn't know going into this that there actually was a physical invisible man, which is something else I do want to talk about, but you would think she was just going crazy. Honestly, I get that vibe from this movie. I really feel like the way they shoot different scenes like that is you don't know if it's really happening until they actually, the big reveal happens that there is actually someone following her in an invisibility suit, which is mind blowing to me. Yeah, like I said, I can't say that enough. And there's a lot of like slow pans, which is very cool. There'll be a character, and then it'll pan like to the right, the camera, and then it'll pan to the left, very slowly, just to show like nothing's there or something. Like you feel like something's there. I Again, I'm gushing even about that. Like the cinematography was just perfect in that movie. Really exemplified what's going on. So, what else did you like about this movie? What were some things that you noticed that you really enjoyed about this movie?
um, I felt like they did a good job with like the people that they put in the movie.
Okay, so supporting
Like
cast.
each person played their a decent role. It wasn't like
Right,
some people were kind of just thrown in there.
right.
Like especially it the one thing that was kind of weird for me
Okay.
was when they finally went like when he came to like I thought she was at a hospital, but she was really just at the police station, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like downstairs in a police station where they kept her and some other people, I guess, who were like unstable.
Right.
But it kind of seemed made it seem like they were in like a mental hospital or something like that.
Okay. Okay, I
It
can
was
see what you're
kind of
saying. So
it was
some of
kind of
the
weird. Like
transition, right? The transition from one place to the next scene. Okay. Okay. I could understand that. To an extent, for sure. Um, I think all the supporting cast was good. I don't think anyone was above average as far as acting. The person who plays Adrian, her ex, uh, he was kind of creepy. Not gonna lie. You do hear his. He doesn't have many lines of dialogue throughout the movie, but the cups that he does say, he goes bang in this one part, and it just creeps you out a little bit. It is very unsettling. But like I said, no one was exceptional. I wouldn't say anyone was, above average or anything like that. Elizabeth Moss really, she just carries this movie pretty much, and that's hard to do. That's
well,
hard
and
for an actor to do.
his brother was kind of creepy too. He
Yeah,
seemed
he was a
like
little bit of a
he
creep.
gave off the weird vibes each time he was like talking and stuff.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. So going forward a little bit, the only other thing I would say is going on with the cinematography, I would just add there was a lot of like tense, claustrophobic situations in the movie, which really heightened it, especially with the way they shot everything. Some of the smaller scenes you felt like were a smaller room, were more cropped together, and some of the bigger scenes you had more of expansive shots. But other than that, just really really well done. So what I want to do is I want to get into the plot now. So this is where the spoilers kind of come in. So like we said, Cecilia, she's abused by her husband. She gets away from him. And then once she gets away, she finds out he killed himself, right? He kills himself, and he left everything to her. The only way, though, she won't get the money is if she's committed of a crime. If she's committed of a crime, she won't receive any of the money. But at this point, she's getting everything. She thinks everything's over. She's living with a friend of the family, or her family friend, and everything seems pretty good. And then some weird stuff starts happening in the beginning. At first, it's only like I said, like we mentioned before, it's like the breakfast thing turning up and stuff like that. And then it just kind of escalates from there. And the movie does it pretty well. What did you think of the pacing of that? Did you think there was an invisible man the whole time? Were you like fully convinced, or?
I think I was convinced probably the time when he took the blanket off
Right,
them when they were sleeping,
right.
but I kind of thought he was kind of going to be like after he took the blanket off, I thought he'd be
Mm.
sitting in the chair, not like just laying on the ground. Like that was a little bit weird. Like he was kind of laying on the ground, but it was like only his face
Well, it's
or
weird
something
because
like
you
that.
get some like weird hints. Like there's a scene where she finds his cell phone is in the attic, and like she's
Yeah.
calling him like, why the hell is his cell phone in the attic? And that's when she finds out. She knocks a paint can over onto his head. She knocks a paint can over up into the hole of the attic that she's crawling in, and then suddenly like boom, there he is right there, and you see this like weird like dotted suit, and you see like paint all over, and you're like, oh my god, there really is an invisible, like she isn't crazy at this point. And then the movie just goes like off the wall from that point. Like it really digs into the sci-fi element, which I think is great. I shouldn't say off the wall, just like the storyline, as far as the storyline like escalating from there, but nothing too unrealistic. I would say it tries to ground itself as much as it can. Uh, it was just crazy. I just thought that was really crazy. I thought the suit was a really cool design. It has like probably hundreds of cameras on it, and I guess it just refracts the light. They really don't explain it too much how it works, but who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's awesome. Does it really matter? It doesn't really matter. Uh, it looked great. I thought the suit looked great, and then the plot thickens. So he's trying to drive her crazy, and eventually after all these things happen, I don't want to go into too much detail. I know we said there's spoilers, but I do want to leave a little bit. There's some things happen, we'll say, and eventually she goes to meet with her sister, who she's at this point they were really close. Now they had an issue in the beginning of the movie. She goes to tell her sister everything that's going on. At this point, Elizabeth Moss, she found the suit, she found the suit, she knows how it's working and everything like that. And they're sitting at the table, and in the middle of a restaurant, and suddenly a knife is like floating in the air, and the way the camera just pans over, you're like, what is that? The knife just hanging there, and just slits her throat in the middle. Knife goes in her hand, head falls on the floor, her sister's dead. and everyone just starts going nuts because they're like, "Oh my god, what just happened? What just happened?" That was the craziest scene in the movie for me. That was probably like the "Oh my god, that just happened."
Well,
Like I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
also
I didn't.
the weird part is too though, after that happens and she's holding like he puts the knife in her hand.
Right.
She never drops the knife though.
I
She
think
just
she was in so
she's still
shock, you know.
she was yeah, but she was still holding it like the whole time, like kind of like yeah, I think I might have done this, but not really, you know?
Right. And I think she was in such shock that she couldn't let it go. It was just like I was like in shock too. I was like, "Holy crap, this just happened! I can't believe that." After that happens, she gets incarcerated because who are you going to believe realistically in that situation? I mean, there really isn't anybody at this point. She's holding the knife. Her sister's dead.
The
That's
whole
it.
restaurant
Yeah, the
saw
whole
it.
restaurant saw it, or maybe they didn't see the knife floating, but they saw the end result of her holding a knife with her sister dead on dead on the table. So put two and two
Yeah.
together. I don't think. After that, though, we go back. We go a little more into the story. She's arrested. She's in like a loony bin. She's being held at a prison, but I guess she's also like a psychological ward. The brother comes, who the brother plays brother of Adrian, he's a lawyer. He's the one who gave her the whole proposition in the beginning of the movie, telling her like, if as long as you don't get committed of a crime, you'll be fine. So he goes to her and tells her, so essentially, we're gonna take all your money away. We don't recommend you fighting because you're not gonna win. But he says, but we do know that you are pregnant. It is revealed late at this point that she's actually pregnant with Adrian's baby, which I didn't expect that part coming either. So in her, she has the product of someone she hates, and he's also trying to kill her. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
It's very weird.
Right, and then after all that happens, she finds out. It's just this plot, man. This plot, man. I just wasn't expecting this out of this kind of movie. Eventually, you find out Adrian doesn't want her to die, so he is creeping around her the whole time. There's, he's there. She's talking to him at this point. He's in the invisibility suit, but no one believes her because there's no one there. She's in a loony bin, and she's, no one wants to believe anything. So she breaks out of the where she's being held. She breaks out, chases after Adrian. There's a crazy fight sequence in the hallway with the invisibility suit. These cops come and Adrian's killing everybody and they can't see him. He's holding the gun, waving it in the air and stuff like that. Crazy action sequence. They escape out into the rain. Of course, you gotta have a rain scene. Why wouldn't you have that? The suit's malfunctioning, so you see flickers of the suit while he's walking in the rain, and they're having this big confrontation. Ends up you think he's going to the house of who she was staying with because he says, I'm going to kill anybody that's close to you. He goes to the house of the family she was staying with to try and kill the daughter. Elizabeth Moss steals a car, gets there, stops him, takes off the mask. It's the brother. It's the friggin' brother in the suit. And you're like, what the heck? Like, after all that, it's his friggin' twerpy brother in the suit. And then you find out Adrian's actually still at his house, tied up in a wall behind a wall, literally tied up, been there for days, been there for a while at this point. He didn't actually die. The brother faked everything, yada, yada, yada. Or that's what you're led to believe. So, John, what did you think at that point? Now, knowing everything we know at this point, did you think that's what actually happened at that point?
No, I mean, I didn't think that actually happened, but I thought it was kind of weird that, like, his brother was killed in the suit.
Right.
Thinking like, okay, so he's been messing with her the whole time. Adrian has.
Yeah. Why
He's
is his
been messing
brother,
with her the
right?
whole time.
Yeah.
How did all of a sudden his brother get the suit
Well, there were two
and
suits
then
the whole time.
go?
There were two suits. We did find that earlier on. There were two suits, but it's just crazy to me is because she knows Adrian's lying. She heard him. She heard his voice coming from the suit. It was him, the one that was antagonizing her. It wasn't his brother. They tease early on with the brother that he always is in his brother's shadow. He always listens to what he says. I don't have a choice either. He's all like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I hate my brother, but I do what he says. So
Yeah.
as soon as that, I was like, wow, like they're really going this route. So she goes to confront him, at the end of this movie. So at this point, Adrian, it's the brother. Everything, as far as the police are concerned, everything's resolved at this point. So her friend, who's also a cop that she's been living with, he waits in the car, and she goes into the house to talk to Adrian. She's talking to Adrian. She's pretty much, he wants her to come back, stay with him, and she's like, oh, I don't know if I can trust you. Just admit you did it. He won't admit a thing. But then he
Nothing.
puts his leg on it. He puts his hand on her leg, and he just like whispers creepily at her. And she's like, oh, I can't take this anymore. And she like goes, I have to use the bathroom. So she disappears. And then what's crazy is the camera like slowly pans over the dinner table, and it goes to him, and you see his arm just jerks up in the air, and he slits his own throat, and he falls on the floor. And then she comes running back in. It was her. She freaking took the costume from earlier that she hid. She did hide a costume. It's a long thing, but she did hide a costume earlier, and she kills him. And like the perfect act of revenge. And I thought that was one. I thought that was great. To be honest, I don't know what you. I thought that was great though. I'm like, that's the perfect act of revenge. Like he didn't say he didn't have to verbally say he did it, but you know he did it at that
Yeah,
point. And
but the weird part is like when she's leaving then, and she has that brief interaction with the cop, and he kind of just looks down
mm-hmm.
and he sees the suit, and he's like, really like, now I know you did it, and
Yeah,
she's like, now you know he killed himself, right? And then eventually he goes, yeah, it
yeah.
was suicide.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, everything, and that, to this point, everything's been kind of muted. And like I said in the beginning when we were talking about this, she starts walking away, and then you hear clarity. You hear the music playing, and she's finally free from this guy. And I think that was just wonderful. That was a wonderful piece of symbolism, and usage of just everything. And this movie offered. Again, I was blown away by this movie. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what else I can really say about it at this point. I think it was really, really well done. So at this point, we've pretty much covered, I think, everything we can talk about this movie. Uh, John, where do you land on this movie?
Well, I give my letter grade.
Right.
I give it a C, I guess.
Really?
Um, yeah, it's. I mean, it was a good movie all around.
Right.
There's some things I found like I didn't really care for in
Right.
ways, but I just didn't. I don't know.
A C. Really? That's what we're going with right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, and I'm sorry, people at home. We're way apart on this. I'm giving this movie an A plus.
Oh, here we
A
go
plus.
again.
Movie's an A plus from beginning to end. I think it captures everything it set out to do. It was a modern retelling of a classic story, which is great. I haven't seen it before done this way, so I think this was great. The symbolism it used, it took a very real, horrible situation, didn't preach down to anybody about it, didn't try to make it made a good statement that maybe we do need to listen to people, and it was very real and relatable, and I think they succeeded in what they were trying to do. Again, A plus, 100% for me. If you want to see a really well done, low budget movie uh, that goes against, I think, the commonality right now where, oh, we got to throw tons of money at it and it's going to be great. And no, you don't need tons of money. You just need a premise that really works. It really works. You got some great actors. That's all you need, and you'll have yourself a great movie. So with that being said, we're pretty far apart on that one. I think that's pretty crazy. I'm not sure what else to say about that. But okay, John. So as far as finding us, what should the people be doing at home to find us?
Well, at first, you're watching this on YouTube,
Please.
so we would like you to subscribe to our channel.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the like button. You can comment, tell us your opinion on the movie, what you liked, what you didn't like. Also, you can hit us up on Twitter. We're at TheReelMovieGuy on Twitter. You can follow us there, comment, talk to us there. Um,
Something else that's pretty wonderful, I would have to say, is we do have, as far as streaming for your listening pleasure, our podcast is available at quite a few places right now. The list is ever growing. Right now, you can find us at Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and as far as the most recent one, we are available at Pocket Casts. Just search The Real Movie Guys. I'm sure we'll pop up, and maybe you're listening to us right now on there. If you are, thank you, congratulations, greatly appreciated. Awesome. The last thing I want to quickly plug before I let you guys go is right now we do have something special available. We have the Real Movie Guys Real Night logo T-shirt, which is exclusively
Ooh.
available on Teespring. Anything you guys pick up, goes towards us helping us continue this project and reviewing these movies. Getting better as we go. If you guys feel inclined, we do really appreciate you picking it up. If not, just give it a look. If you have any comments about it, let us know. Maybe we can improve it. Whatever. If you guys want different kinds of merchandise or whatever the case is, let us know. With that being said, though, we are the Real Movie Guys. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And do not forget, real guys, real movies, real reviews. We'll see you next time. Later, guys.
See ya.